based on the lessons you've learned in the valleys, on the mountaintops, what would you say to other NGOs as they continue to develop?
One of the one of the things that we did, which might have seemed silly, but we always dreamed big, right?
Yes.
So before we were really even an organization, we did strategic planning.
Yep. Every single
Three
year.
of us, we did strategic planning, and we created this vision of what we wanted the organization to be about.
Yeah.
So dream big, be structured, think out and plan ahead. That was really crucial for us. And the strategic planning kept us focused,
Yes.
kept us on target, and kept us on mission. So when the temptation came to run towards money, we were able to say, no, that's not what we're about. And we were able to keep on track. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. What, as an individual, one of the things that, one of the lessons learned was about taking care of myself as a leader. In the sector, because we're driven. We're not driven by external forces. There isn't a boss necessarily whipping you. We are driven by this thing inside of us, which can keep us just going and going when we really don't have any energy or fuel left to run on. And so one of the things that I had to learn repeatedly was that I had to take care of my own needs in the midst of this. And my family. And I really recommend, anytime I come up against young people or come up with young people in the sector, I stress to them about that kind of balance.
I hear it all the time.
Take care of yourself. You have to take care of yourself.
Yes.
Take care of your family.
Yeah.
Because you're in this partly for yourself, for your own personal growth. That's what drives us, our own personal development. And many times when we come into a passion like this, it's because of something in ourselves, in our history, that we're trying to heal. So don't neglect that in the process of taking care of everybody else and driving this massive change that we want to see in the world. You have to take care of your own needs, and you have to remember your family and take care of your family as well.
Yeah, because especially because of the field that we're in, and you made an important point that very often we seek out what we need to heal, even if we're not consciously aware of it. And we see it all the time in organizations like these, because we want to teach people how to be better selves. We have to be the example.
Yeah.
And very often we interpret that as being perfect. So I always tell people in NGOs, there's nothing about being perfect. Being real, being responsible for yourself, being responsible for setting the example. You're teaching people how to improve their lives, how to take care of themselves. You have to be doing it. You have to be doing it, because you're going to crack. Because it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work from the point of view, it takes a lot of energy from you, both physically, emotionally, and spiritually. And we often ignore the spiritual aspect. And I'm not talking religion here. I'm talking about taking care of your soul, being aware of how this work you're doing is impacting you. And I remember having to do some special work on myself some years ago. And I remember Barbara was saying to me that when I was going through that she noticed certain ways in which I functioned. I probably was most peaceful when I was doing that spiritual search. Yes. And so every time I think about how I feel about something, I try to go to a quiet place. Because you can't really do that. Something like that is kind of like a once in a lifetime experience that you grow from. But doing it helped me to, I remember what that felt like. And I remember telling somebody this story recently. how I was in that space, and I realized I can go to that space whenever I want to, because when you work in organizations like this, you really, really, really need to work on yourself. It's very, and I say that to mean that very often we don't, because we think that we are okay. But when I look back down the road, I know because we did the strategic planning, it forced us to look at ourselves, not just the organization. And because we did other kinds of reviews of our work, it forced us to look at ourselves. And all that helps you to work on yourself. But you also need to pay attention to the other things. So you don't run an NGO. We see what happened to people when NGOs don't change their leaders, or when NGOs try to go with the same leader forever and ever, or if they're not doing the investigative review they need to do. So I think that's unique about us, and I think that has certainly helped us. Certainly helped us.
So what has helped, one of the lessons I have learned, and I really thank ParentingTT for that, is that you can't just share something if you don't believe in it. And for me, that was the essence of, growing emotionally, spiritually, psychologically, mentally. I felt I always said, okay, you would read things, I would read books, and, Barbara would share information, we would do focus group discussions and the wow and all of that. But I had to come to a place where I believed it and I wanted to live it, to share it. I didn't think it would be right to share stuff if you didn't believe in it and you weren't willing to live it. So for me, and I think a lot of times without us even knowing, our clients paid attention. Because afterwards, there were a lot of people I would meet after. Up to the other night I met Molly, and she was saying, I always have to talk about all the organization. So it wasn't just the organization, it was, the people who were there to serve those who came to us.
And I have one more, which was the importance of working with others, because ParentingTT's success was from lessons I learned from Michael Alves at Tobago Foundation, Joan Bishop at Creative Parenting, Ivis at Families in Action,
Autism Society.
Yes, Terry, Autism. And then CSP's collaboration, Citizen Security Programs, collaboration with NGOs. It was working with other NGOs and sharing experiences that helped me to try new things. So something that was working in agriculture, could that work in parenting? And just play with different ideas. So it really is important to connect with others. Connect with others. That led to so many opportunities, and it's amazing.
And it was not just, sometimes people think you connect with others so you could get ahead. No, it was really the learning experience of collaborating
and the friendships.
And the friendships. The friendships.
And I think that's different from initially.
Yes.
NGOs used to be in silos.
Yes.
It's like you just have your piece of pie and you need to try to fight for the funding. And I think that over the last few years, that's another shift with funders, is that they are willing to fund projects where where NGOs come together and partner with each other and work, because no NGO can do everything. On their own.
You can't. And so when we did the school project, we worked with other groups, because there's no way we could have done all of the things the school required. You have to be open to who else do you need to support you and to mesh with, so that we can get the job done.
Any other nuggets of wisdom for other NGOs as they, even if it's like someone's considering starting an NGO, we have different policies now that we have to adhere to? What about like a young baby toddler NGO?
What
What
think
would you say to that
innovation is the way
NGO?
to-
Yeah, what I tell them now, knowing who we were and understanding the passion that one has to do something, it may be hard to do it, but don't jump and start an NGO. Find another person that's doing the same thing and see if you can team up with them
Yes.
to work together. Because that collaboration is crucial. There are more than 7,000 registered NGOs, and probably only about 2,000 of them are functioning. And the rigmarole you have to go through to set up, and the whole thing about funding, it's exhausting. It can take you away from the actual focus of why you got into this thing in the first place. So before you go and start an NGO, do the work for a couple of years. That will show you if it's sound, if it's real, if there's a real need for it. And partner with other people. Yes, it may be difficult, but learn to collaborate and cooperate, to go together rather than try single-handedly to do something. There are just too many organizations that are, the common complaint of funders is that many people doing the same thing, asking for the same funding.
Yeah.
And I would say even when you're collaborating, you're an established NGO, you're collaborating.
Yeah.
Stay true to your mission and your
constantly.
vision, so that
Definitely.
you're not seen as an NGO that just wavers, or you don't find yourself on a totally different path from when you first started, because you want to stay true to the core and to the heart of why you started that NGO,
And that can be quite difficult, because when you're not getting funding and people say, oh look, the temptation is there. And that's why it's important to look at your purpose, re-look at your purpose. Is this really what I want to do?
And you might not get it completely worded properly or down packed the first time. You may have to keep trying and refining it. But as long as you stay true to what you really wanted to accomplish in the first place, I think that's important.
Because they really need to be careful, because I remember we were offered funding when we were in very difficult situations. But if we'd taken that funding, we'd have gone off track. We have to decide, no, we're not applying for that. That's not what we're about. So that NGOs need to be, if you're setting up an NGO, you need to be clear on what your purpose is, but also know that it's a work in progress. So be cautious while you're still being a risk taker, because yes, you have to take risks, but you need to, as Barbara says, collaborate with other people. What are other people doing? And listen. The biggest thing, listen.
Well, my final question for you. Where do you want... Sorry.
Hold on, sure.
Go ahead.
And if they do decide, if they make this step, I think one of the things is always encourage your staff, whoever your support persons within the organization, just encourage them to be their best selves. I think that's critical.
That's the hardest. Because running an organization requires, I think people... Barbara says it's even though it's an NGO, it's really a business. It's a business. So the work is as hard as running a business. So your mindset cannot be especially today, it's not a voluntary organization, even though we're underpricing. And so we need to have that professional head on in order for it to be run ethically and appropriately, and to get to the point where that we want to go to.
And one of the beautiful things about working in the civil society sector or working in ParentingTT is that the relationships are different to when you're in the corporate sector or the government sector.
Definitely.
So people often complain that when they come to work in a civil society organization, they have to work. It's hard work. You can't hide.
It's rewarding.
It is rewarding, and the reward is deep. So taking care of each other is important, and that is something that we try to do. Just help each other along and be a good support for each other, especially when the salary is so low.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just need to support each other.
I want to know, where do you want to see ParentingTT in 25 years? Maybe in next 5 years, 10 years, 15, 25. Where do you want to see ParentingTT?
Well, I think it's related to we always want ParentingTT to have its own building. In the next 25 years, I'd like ParentingTT to have its own building on its own property. I want it to be a well fleshed out organization with professionals providing the services that ParentingTT continues to grow and provide, so that as families evolve and their needs evolve, that ParentingTT would as well be able to evolve to help support families and to provide services and to have professionals and staff who can continue to work with families and to continue to achieve their mission and vision for the organization. And most of all, I'd like to know that ParentingTT would have established by that point in time regular funding from organizations, not just corporate bodies, but from philanthropists, trust organizations that would invest their money in organizations like ParentingTT, but that ParentingTT will also have its own funding source.
Okay. Barbara, what about you?
Could go a couple of ways. One is ParentingTT ceased to exist because all the things that we do are taken care of by government. So for everybody, all the needs are addressed. Okay. And that is a solid government commitment. That would be wonderful. If that can't happen, then the next option would be that ParentingTT is like an agency of the government. So the organization exists with its mission, vision, the services may be even expanded, but there is full coverage for all expenses by government and other sources, so that the organization can focus on doing the work. That would be wonderful.
Dorian?
Well, I was about to say, I would like to see ParentingTT fully funded and establish not just an office space, but a center, especially for mothers, to give them like a wellness center, sort of, to be able to give mothers that space when they need it, to be able to be renewed, revived. You must know that there's this place that exists that I can go to and get that kind of support and refresh and renewal and restoration.
Wonderful.
So that I could.
And what about dads? What about dads? What do they get?
Yeah.
Well, if it's needed for dads, fine,
Whatever
I mean, I'm seeing dads stepping up now, though. I find that I'm seeing a lot of dads stepping up a lot more,
One of our
especially
fantasies in a couple of strategic plannings was that, one of our early intentions was that there would be one core organization with satellites in all the different communities.
Yes.
So there'd be a ParentingTT San Fernando, one in Dago Martin, Toto, wherever. So that we could feed the communities, particularly the support aspect, the parent support aspect.
Well, ladies, I just want to say thank you so much for sharing your journey over the last 25 years. I know it wasn't smooth sailing, but I'm positive that the struggles that the organization and you by extension went through was absolutely worth it, because I honestly believe that ParentingTT has touched many, many lives. And Barbara, as you mentioned, we may never know, how many lives that have been touched. So again, I just want to say thank you so much for the dedication, the commitment, the drive, the passion, the sleepless nights, the blood, sweat, and tears that you
Oh, yeah.
have put into
Definitely.
ParentingTT, because how it is now, where ParentingTT has gotten to now, the reputation that it has, it could not, and people like me standing on your shoulders would not have been able to do that without everything that you've given to the organization. So I just want to say I am proud to be part of this organization, to be leading it into the next phase of its life. No, let's not get too carried away. But I just want to say thank you for allowing, for setting things up and allowing, creating the space, the environment, for other generations to stand on your shoulders and take it to another level.
And thank you for having the courage to get up on the shoulders.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is,
Thank you.
yes. Thank you indeed.
Thank you
For
very much.
accepting.
So
Yes.
we look forward to another 25 years.